This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by three very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you for joining us. My name is Tommy Dasilo, and sitting across from me...
It's Ben Vanel, episode 121, and this bit is still very fun.
Now, you left your workplace early today.
Yes.
You told us because of illness was the real reason, so you could work on that.
I did come up with it in that brief hiatus.
Because I got to say, that was the reason. Time well spent.
Yeah, thank you.
Also rounding out the trio...
Yep, Adam Knox, episode 121, and I don't have a gimmick.
Nice.
Yeah, sweet. That's more of that kind of experimental poetry that doesn't rhyme. I like it. Yeah,
That was like a...
The fact that you think your words rhyme at the end, there's no cadence to them.
But you,
as a poet,
you do admit that they rhyme.
two of the words in them always rhyme. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Which is more than you can say of a lot of poetry.
Yeah, that's true. And it is the only metric by which poetry should be measured.
Rhyming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best poem is...
There once was a man from Nantucket. Not one of mine, but a big inspiration.
I'd say that's like the most kind of like... That's like the blockbuster movie of poems, don't you think?
Yes.
It's the Citizen Kane of poems.
No,
Yeah.
it's like the Jaws of poems.
Exactly.
It's a little bit
I see
lower
what you
brow.
mean.
Yeah, something for everyone.
Yeah.
Broad mass, just real mass appeal.
You can't deny, like, the form is good. Like, it's just a great structure. It really hits with everyone.
Yeah.
Did Jaws have the word cunt in it? Though? Because what was the first movie that was, like, big and popular that had the word cunt in it?
Oh, great question.
Ooh, the Wog Boy?
Yeah, that's a great question because
like
it
Goodfellas
presumably...
or something like that, maybe?
Yeah.
It'd be
maybe.
a gangster movie.
I'm Googling this.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
too good to
It's
speculate
surprising
on.
that we don't already know the answer.
But you know what? The man from Nantucket thing, that really is the Jaws of poetry. Because it's like, you hear there once was a man from Nantucket, you don't need to hear the rest.
Yeah.
And it's the
Right.
same with Jaws. You see the poster, you hear the
Yeah.
song, it's like, this shark's going to be
There
fucking up
once
some stuff. I don't even need to watch it.
Yes.
Man from Nantucket and his dick was so long that if he could... I can't remember how it goes.
Yeah. But the experience of listening the full poem is still enjoyable.
Thanks for chucking that strepsil in your mouth before we started
baby.
as well.
I won't be able to get through it otherwise.
Taking me a long time to Google. What was the first movie
'cause
to
the
have the word... This will be good
Yeah.
in my history. You went on my phone before and I had the cat in the hat as the last thing I'd Googled. Have the word cunt
Well,
in
because the
it.
reason I'm thinking it is I was playing a game that had the word cunt in it
Oh, right.
just before, and it was really strange.
Yeah.
It's strange to hear it from not an Australian person. Really.
Yeah, or British. British, it kind of would roll off the tongue.
British don't all like it, though.
Yeah, right.
In Britain, it's halfway between here and America, where it's mid-offensive.
Right.
Not mid, it's still quite, but
Yeah.
like it's closer to being a slur.
Right.
Which I like the word cunt less now, but I still like it a lot.
Yeah.
After learning what
Mate,
Americans think of it.
I love cunt.
It has its own Wikipedia page. The
word?
cunt,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. It is pretty famous.
Did
God,
you mean
hang
Tommy
on.
Dasilo?
Keep talking. I'm so close to finding this out. God,
Well-
film. Okay, here we go.
You decided to do this.
Yes.
The first verbal use... Oh, so the word appears in graffiti on a wall in the 1969 film
Yes.
Bronco Bullfrog.
Okay. I don't know it. I can't say I know it.
The first verbal use of the word in mainstream cinema occurs in Carnal Knowledge, 1971,
Oh, but that sounds pornish.
in which
Yeah.
Jonathan, played by Jack Nicholson...
Okay.
Jack Nicholson. Everyone have a crack.
Jack Nicholson.
What are we having a crack at?
Doing our Christian Slater impressions.
In which Jonathan asks, "Is this an ultimatum? Answer me, you ball-busting, castrating son of a cunt bitch. Is this an ultimatum or not?" They don't really need to put the final sentence of that quote in there after they've gotten to the good stuff.
No,
it's written on a wall for the first time in a movie in 1969, and then 2 years later,
Jack Nicholson
someone
comes along and
musters
says
up the cojones to get the big man in
Oh,
to
yes.
fucking just let rip.
It kind of feels right that Jack Nicholson was the guy to do it. It's perfect for him.
I was picturing Pesci, but hey.
Yeah.
Listen to my new podcast, Picturing Pesci. I describe a bunch of situations in which I speculate what Joe Pesci would do in those situations.
Yeah.
Must have been wild as a cinema goer hearing that for the first time, because it's not like word would have gotten around like on, the internet or anything like that. Just being in that cinema, being in that fucking playhouse.
Yes.
Is that what they were called?
Yeah, sure.
In like 1920.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It was over by
I think they were
then.
called cunt houses.
So we got a bit of news to get through. What?
Yeah, it's on your phone because my phone ran out of
Oh,
battery.
okay. Yeah.
But you've pocketed that because you had to Google for about 80 minutes?
Yes, I think so.
That is a vast
The history of
exaggeration.
cinema.
Hey, you know what? You ball-busting, castrating son of a gun bitch.
What's the rest of it?
Is this an ultimatum or not?
Yeah,
I think I can remember them. Let me have a go at remembering them before reading them out.
Okay.
Well, one of the big ones.
Yeah. What?
Are you fine for me to take control of this?
Yeah, I would prefer it if anything.
Okay. Kingdom Hearts 3, a trailer
Yes.
came out for that, which, shows a lot of stuff. A Toy Story world, which I think they'd shown off a little bit of before.
Will this be the first Kingdom Hearts game to use the word cunt? Do you think?
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
And a Monsters Inc. world, which I don't
Yeah.
think they had shown any of before. And the thing that got the internet very excited about that is that the three main characters of Kingdom Hearts are shown in kind of a fucked up Monsters Inc. version of themselves.
Donald's
Yes.
got one eye, like Mike Wazowski.
Yeah. Goofy looks just fucked.
Yeah. He
Just-
looks really, really like... He doesn't look normal. He looks a bit weird. Like a little bit like... he looks kind of odd
Like
and
wacky?
strange. Like a little wacky.
Yeah, or a little a little oddball.
A little out there. A little left of center.
Yeah, a bit of a weirdo.
Just a little bit like quirky and crazy.
Quirky, that's the best way to describe it. Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
I think they look kind of cool, but the design of those characters as monsters, it's a little bit first drafty for me.
Yeah.
Like the beauty of the actual characters in Monsters Inc. is they all look very simple and like they took 5 seconds to come up with, but the beauty of Pixar is that that there's a long process to get to that point.
Right.
These literally do seem like, oh yeah, give Goofy a fucked up nose and give Donald one eye.
Yeah, red
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, they didn't.
Imagine having red hair, you fucking monster.
Is this our most offensive episode ever? Yeah, and then there's a bit of Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
She shows up. I think she's been in the previous ones. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But yeah, Toy Story and Monsters Inc. are like the new worlds.
big
for
ones,
this
yeah.
film.
Which
So-
I'm into Toy Story, but I never liked Monsters Inc.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
my favourite Pixar for a while.
Yeah, really?
Until Cars 3 came out. That was my favourite. Undisputably the best Pixar film.
Yeah.
I saw Coco the other day, by the way.
Oh, man, me
since we're
too.
talking
Oh,
about it.
yeah.
I was fucking bawling at the end.
Me too.
I stood up with a gun and a bunch of money and I was bawling. No, I was, it was really, really good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been like this good of a Pixar film in quite some time. Certainly not one that I've heard people whose opinions I trust go, oh, you've got to go see
Yeah,
it.
Inside
Toy
Out
Story
was great.
Oh, that's
okay.
true. But
Yeah.
that was like,
It was 3 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long
3?
ago.
Oh, wow,
but
I thought it was longer.
I feel like Toy Story 3 was the last great one. Like,
Yeah, I can't really remember what was in between that,
Like-
so I guess.
Brave.
yeah, Brave
Oh,
people kind of
yeah.
took a bit of a pass on.
Yeah.
The Good Dinosaur.
Oh, that was a
people
big miss.
people
Yeah.
kind of took a bit of a pass on.
Yeah.
And then they do so many sequels
When
now.
was it
but
up?
Up was, oh man, Up's like 2009 or something like that.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
Yeah.
I got to call my doctor.
Why?
I'm late. It's for an appointment.
For an appointment in 2009.
Yeah, whatever. I have to.
That was like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably retired.
He wouldn't have retired.
Maybe.
He was a
Well,
young
How
doctor.
old? Oh, he was a young
Yeah,
doctor.
Yeah,
Okay.
Doogie Howser young.
At the very least, that number's changed, I reckon.
His age.
Yes.
The number young has changed.
So none of us have ever played a Kingdom Hearts game.
No.
I played a bit of a demo of the one that was on 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
Right, which is like the second to most recent one, I think.
Oh, right.
It's pretty far along the lineage. Like, they're very hard to... There are PS4 compilations of them.
Yes, which I think we all looked at a few months ago. Like, should we try and get into this before this new one comes out?
Yeah.
And we didn't.
We've got time.
Yeah.
I still kind of... they said as well, because this has been delayed for ages, they said that at E3 there will be a release date announced.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Right.
So it'll be this year.
Right.
That sounds like. So
Yeah.
Cool.
It
Yeah.
looks, I mean, I love the idea, like I love the fact that it exists, like this kind of weird kind of anime mashup of Disney characters, and you got Donald and Goofy are like your main guys' little sidekicks for the whole thing, aren't they?
I think so. I think they're like, it's the three of you going through.
Yeah. And the fact that it's those two characters specifically, and that they've got their weird little kind of semi-medieval or whatever you call it, kind
like
of
real Final Fantasy looking
Yes.
kind of leather belts and things like
Yeah.
that all over their arms.
Yeah.
It's always fascinated me, but I just don't think the combat is going to be something that I can personally get into.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
But
think that will be fun. I think the story is the thing of like each of them follows on very much from the other, is my understanding of it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
You really need to know it all.
Yeah.
And you need to know it all across a game that was on the Game Boy Advance, and one was on the phone, and one was on a 3DS, and one was on a PS2, and one was on a fucking Vita, and that
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
And it's very complicated and time travel-y, and this person is technically now these three people combined into one person. now.
Boy.
So I think it's weird, but I kind of want to make an effort to go to Wikipedia and read that before playing.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I'm sure there's compilations of just all the big like cutscenes and story points that
Yeah.
you could probably devote a good amount of time, significantly less than playing the actual games.
Yeah.
but
Then it's
to
just a
watching.
question of whether it's any good. Well, I
Yeah.
know that there's
Yeah.
a lot of it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually all right or not. I don't know.
And maybe it's only all right when you're playing it as a game.
Yeah, it could be.
Could expose how shallow video game storytelling
Yeah.
is just by watching it.
Yeah, it tends to happen.
I'm
But-
kind of concerned from my perspective that I'll really like the Square stuff, and I'll find the Disney stuff hard to take, just because I'm not sure I'm fully on board with the aesthetics mixing, the really childlike, simplistic Disney stuff mixed
Yeah.
with the more traditional JRPG
I
stuff.
like that about it. Yeah.
Right.
I really like that about it. The bit, and I'm sure this is explained in the game, but I have a hard time visually with the idea that, so like I said before, you've got Goofy and Donald in these like very Final Fantasy style costumes.
Yep.
But then they go to the Toy Story characters and it's like, it's just Toy Story.
Right.
And I kind of think it just seems jarring. Like it's
Nah,
kind of,
I
I
really
kind of
like
feel like
that.
I wish it was a bit more incorporated in, so you
Yep.
did have a bit more of a riff on it rather than just going, anyway, here it is.
It looks
Yeah.
like those old like knockoff toys that you'd get in like some
Yeah.
dodgy market out of the back of someone's car, and it'd be like, here's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's Goofy, but he's a soldier now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I like
Yeah.
that shitty aesthetic, and it's shitty.
It's Arachno Man, and it looks like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob the Superman, and it's Bob the Builder, but he's got the little S on his thing.
Yeah.
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 But yeah.
Had to CGI out his
Nipples?
pubes.
People, are the fans into this? I didn't really look into this too
I think
much.
so.
I think so,
online.
yeah.
This one has been the one where like every game other than 2, which was on the PS2, I think, they've gone like, okay, where's 3?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, where's 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you were saying, Ben, that you'll be into the Square stuff. I kind of feel the opposite way around.
Right.
Like running around in the Toy Story world and the Monsters Inc. world looks cool as hell. All the super RPG stuff, I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing with stuff like this. It's like, it's got something for everyone. That
Yeah.
also means like, it's 30% good for everyone.
Yeah. All tastes are sort of a little bit catered for.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I'm definitely going to play it though.
Yeah.
And I think, like even just the gameplay style, the combat, I am looking forward to that. I'm just real curious. It's crazy that none of us have played one of these
Yeah.
before.
I'm going to go get that HD thing and play the first one.
Okay, I'm not. I think that they don't hold up. I looked I watched a lot of the videos. I was gonna buy it, and I was like, I'm going to wait till this looks really nice.
Yeah, I don't really give a
I
shit
kinda
if things
think-
hold up or not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, 'cause that's why my life is the way it is.
So all your shelves are on the ground.
Yeah, that's why I'm never. Why I'm always taking fire in military situations.
Okay.
because I never hole up in the bunker. I'm never holed up.
Yeah, okay.
That's the other way you could take that word to mean.
You don't
And then
like
a-
Dr. Dre?
I can also go back to I've been
A
playing
bank robbery.
Okay.
Would be another one.
Yes, yeah.
If one was so inclined.
If you were
Alright.
going to move forwards in a video game, you'd hold up.
Oh, nice.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're watching a Pixar movie that features an old man and some balloons, and you needed to
Put
go
it in
take
the
a
DVD
piss.
player.
Well, another. So two bites of the cherry.
After you've bought the Blu-ray, you hold up.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Hold up.
That's what I said.
Wait.
That's why I said Dr. Dre before.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, is that Dr. Dre?
Yeah, man.
Right. I
Boys,
need to
come
call-
on! There must be at least 18 more of these.
You bringing
Let's
up
run
Dr.
out
Dre
the clock.
reminds me that I need to call somebody. I've been playing Vice City.
Yeah.
Speaking of going back to old stuff,
Yes.
not a lot to say about it. It's still Vice City, but that game.
Wait, hang on. You mean
It hasn't changed.
It hasn't morphed into another game over all these years? Now that's rare.
It's like Ray Liotta doing his fucking voice acting in that is still cool.
Yep.
All the music is still sick. It controls worse and it looks worse and all of that, obviously.
Right.
But it's still got the same vibe, and it really makes me want them to do that same sort of thing for the next one.
Right.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it for our Bandcamp episode
Right.
on the GTA series that we did. Or
Oh,
the
yes.
Rockstar. Was it just GTA or was it Rockstar? I think it was just GTA.
Can't remember. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto. I think.
But yeah, people
Yeah.
can find that on our Bandcamp if they'd like to listen to that. But I playing it, having not played it back in the day and having no attachment to it, I found it very, very, very hard to get on with.
Yes.
Looks shitty and tough to control, and
The
yeah.
controls are pretty archaic and stuff. And for whatever reason, like going back to Dead Rising as well, and this, like, I've been doing this weird fucking tour of like shitty controlling games.
yeah.
And I don't know. I can adjust to that stuff because I did it at the time, I guess, is part of it. So it's still quite fun, and there's versions of it you can get on the PS4. So I reckon if you didn't play it at the time, there's nothing to get out of it now.
Yeah.
I've definitely felt that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
same with San Andreas.
Yeah.
Probably.
Which is even more ambitious and has more, systems and more customizability. It's those controls; they just don't hold
And
Yeah.
up at all.
it probably looks even worse today because it's trying to shoot for this stuff that other things have done better.
Yes.
even
Yeah.
more so now.
Yep, totally.
But I still like it, and if you haven't gone back to it and enjoyed it at the time, it's been really nice to go like, oh, I remember this little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, especially like that game is like right in the sweet spot of like a very formative part of all of our lives. If you're
Yeah.
roughly our age,
Yep.
23 in my case, where of course, like that's when stuff I think personally really hits you like culturally.
Yeah.
You're kind of blown away by everything on a much kind of bigger. In a much bigger way than you are as you get older, and
Yeah.
so of course revisiting is that it's like, oh fuck yeah, that bit, yeah.
I've been thinking about this lately, like whether or not it is me aging that is doing it, or the fact that there hasn't seemed to have been, like, around that sort of time, video games have taken big leaps.
Yep.
And when it was like
I hope this is a big run up to you saying you think you're immortal. Maybe it's just me getting older, but I gotta say, I feel like I'm never gonna die.
It's been 9 years since I've seen a doctor, and I feel okay. No, my wrist has been cracking weirdly lately.
Yeah.
I've got some sort of wrist injury. Now, I don't think there's a joke you're going to be able to pull out of that. I'm just sharing this
Playing too much
information.
tennis, I think. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the actual thing you were gonna say?
No,
Okay.
they used to
Good.
jump between like, the PS1 to the PS2 and then to the PS3. It was like, fuck, I can't believe they can
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
For the last like 5-6 years, I've not felt that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and jaded.
Now, there's only been one console generation.
Yeah, but even within the console generations, like if you go look at like fucking what was it, Tekken Tag Tournament or
Yes.
or like the first Jack and Daxter, and then look at Shadow of the Colossus or something that was towards the end of the PS2.
Yeah.
you see still this evolution of like, I can't believe it's doing this.
Yeah, I think that's
I
The Witcher 3 impressed me, I guess, with that stuff. But
Uncharted 4. but that was like in the middle of this generation.
Yeah,
I
it
feel
was
this
pretty like if you went 3 to 4, it's not a massive leap.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not the sort of leap that a Nathan Drake type would take,
Right.
for example.
Yes.
Big leaps, that man.
I
Loves to
I
jump.
definitely feel this, and I think this touches on sort of something that we've discussed in a very heated way.
Yes.
A long time ago on the show about the idea that games have sort of gotten as good as they can get.
Right.
Remember that
Yeah,
person
yeah.
who wrote in? I feel like this kind of speaks to that, where like, yes, graphics are going to improve and stuff, but we've hit a point where stuff looks extremely close to realistic.
Yeah.
And all that's happening now is just improved draw distances and a bit more nicer textures and stuff. But it's not like you're going from the Super Nintendo to the 64 or then
Yeah.
the 64 to the PS2, where it's like these leaps that when you were seeing them at the time felt like, oh my God, this is like looking into the future. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that looks nicer than Uncharted 4, but Uncharted 4 already looked just brilliant by any measure.
Yeah.
It's not like it's more like the new stuff doesn't leave the old stuff for dead in the way that it used to. It doesn't make the other stuff look shit by comparison.
Totally. You're not going like with what I just said about Kingdom Hearts 2.8 or whatever. You're not looking at a game from earlier in this generation or even late PS3 generations and going like, oh, that's unplayable. Like
Yeah.
it's all
Fuck off out of here.
Yeah, I refuse to go in on this.
Yeah.
It is all pretty close. It's all down the same end of this graphical spectrum, I think.
Yeah.
Like there
Yeah.
is a limit to what we can take in visually as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Not
Yeah.
for me. I can look at any number of things.
okay.
I just spin around really, really quickly and look at everything. My eyes dart around.
yeah.
I guess the innovations, we might have said this last time we talked about this, are more in the thing of like anybody can develop a game now. And
Yeah.
they're simpler, but that has expanded. And like indie games as almost like a platform of their
Yeah.
own. That's almost been like a generational thing. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
online
yeah.
integration has changed stuff so much that that has changed games in the way that a graphical update would have.
That's
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point about the indies. It's like, yeah, we were talking about this the other week, how everything, well, a lot of indies that come out go for that kind of retro pixel art style. It's been very overdone in recent times. But a
Yeah.
big part of that is that, first of all, it's an easy way to resonate with an audience.
Yep.
People making it know that. And it's just a budget thing where it's just like a cost-effective way of doing it. And yeah, I think that's what you're saying, where the means of developing things will become more advanced. And so there might be a day where an indie team can afford to make a game that looks like
Right.
GTA 5 or Uncharted 3.
Right, and then
because
you're getting potentially a more creative team with less restrictions, utilizing that graphical technology to do a more innovative story. Because
Yeah.
that's what I still think is really decades behind any other storytelling medium.
Yeah.
Like, games just have not got up to par yet.
For
Yeah.
the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
massively agree.
but the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah,
And the exceptions are generally like a B if it was
Yeah.
a film.
Yes.
So I don't know, but a B movie. I mean, like
B movie, yeah. Yeah.
They're as good
Yeah.
as B movies, so
Yes.
they're amazing.
Yeah. It's like, probably not far off the mark, realistically.
yeah, totally.
Oh boy.
So
Every time
the
we
best, the best written video game is as good as the movie B movie.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
think of one that's better off the top of my head.
Of course you can't, because
No.
it's an airtight fact.
Yeah.
And that
yeah.
thing of indie games being their own sort of separate thing, people have tried to give that a go of like, do you remember the Ouya?
Yes.
Like that sort of stuff. The
Yeah.
idea behind those sort of things have always been like, it's indie gaming's home.
Yeah.
And I guess the Switch is sort of a bit like that at the moment.
I
mean,
think-
everything is like that.
Yeah,
the PC
yeah.
is that.
Yes.
Mainly.
Yes.
But,
We've for our Australian listeners, somebody-
everyone else switch off the podcast.
well, just because they
Well, for our Australian listeners, g'day.
Louis McCurdy from
yes.
ex Triple J presenter is in a games group that we're all in, and he like pre-ordered. Was the Ouya kickstarted? I think it may have been.
That makes sense.
But
Yeah,
he
I
went
believe
in,
it was.
he puts some good money. He put the amount of money in where it's like you get the controller engraved with your name. Like
Right.
he really bet the farm on it.
Put
Yeah.
that fucking Australian government-funded radio station money into it.
Yes.
And yeah, within Like it just it very quickly started to look like, oh, this won't be good.
Yeah.
And then it turned up and
My
I think
favorite
he posted in there that he was doing it, and then someone realized like whenever it was, like a year later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's been out for months. Like, how come you haven't? Like, how is it? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about the Ouya is that its buttons were. It was spelled O-U-Y-N-A.
Yeah.
And the buttons were O-U-Y-N-A.
Yeah,
And the
fucking
idea of a game telling you, press the U button.
Yeah.
Is that like, put it in H kind of like ridiculous fucking...
Yeah.
What country is this console from?
But if you have time and you're interested, go back and look at the head of Ouya, her like press conferences and interviews throughout the
really?
process, especially towards the end.
Wow.
Because it's just like a vision of someone realizing that this thing is fucked and knowing they have to sell it, and then kind of not being able to, and then getting the ass and all the money just disappearing. It's really...
Ouya.
The unboxing,
They didn't use that for their marketing. That's why they fucked up.
the unboxing videos are great.
Right,
as well.
right.
Like these people who invested in getting it and going, oh my God, this thing is like, it's the most flimsy plastic looking piece of
Yeah.
Because it was just basically an Android phone console.
That's
Yeah,
what it,
yeah.
it was. The big appeal of it was that it was kind of open source, so like people were
Yeah.
going to be able to make their own shit for it, which on paper is like, that could be great.
Yeah, if
Yes.
only there was some like piece of equipment that everybody had one of that you could program anything you wanted for.
Yeah.
Some sort of like computer, but not one of the ones you use at a library. A computer just for you, like a personal one.
Right.
Some sort of like, what would we call it? An Ouya.
But the big thing of it was, like it kind of, you'll be able to get on, the Android store and play
Yeah.
apps. It's like, I can kind of do that. There's nothing on there that warrants a controller.
Yeah.
So everything on there is just better on a touch screen anyway.
That was a
Yeah.
pretty weird time because I remember around that sort of time there was a console fucking called I don't remember what it was called.
Nintendo?
Yeah, that's it. It was a Nintendo GameCube.
Right.
Whatever happened to those guys?
It was like the idea was that you bought this really cheap box and you streamed your games out and they had server farms.
Oh, right.
And so you could play a really, super high quality game, but you've paid $50 for this.
Right. Assuming you
like
have...
Chromecast, basically.
Yeah. That's all dependent on your
Assuming you
internet
have the
connection.
subscription or whatever, and you have to have like a non-Australian internet
Yeah.
connection.
I would love a fourth player to come along and just have a crack. Like,
Yeah.
the days of like the Neo Geo and like
Yeah.
the Philips CDI and shit like that. Like
Yeah.
just some random company like...
Sega come back. Bring
Yeah.
Sega back, and they're like, Sonic's back.
Yeah.
To have the same 90s attitude.
Yeah,
And
yes.
launch like a fucking Ultra Drive or something.
Or if Sanyo just went, fuck it, we're
yeah.
going in.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's what Microsoft did. That was an
Totally.
exciting
Yeah.
time.
That was
Samsung
bizarre.
could do
Yeah.
it. Apple's like, there's been scuttlebutt about Apple for years.
Yes.
But
yes.
if Samsung went like, we've got a fucking lot of money now.
Yeah, or HTC, I guess. They're sort of in there in the...
The
in terms
Vive
of-
is HTC.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess, so yeah.
Yeah.
NutriBullet. Fuck this.
Nice.
Conquered the kitchen. Walking through that door. What's connected to the kitchen? The living room. Boom. Gaming console.
Fuck yeah. Oh.
What if Sony did it? They make TVs.
Now...
You've
Now, Adam.
embarrassed yourself here.
Yes.
Why?
You're stuck in 2009, mate.
That's
that
before
a-
Sony got in.
Yes.
Was that a brain doctor you were meant to see 9 years ago? So back on to, let me remind you of the other news topics you were going to talk about. Monster Hunter.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's the fastest selling Capcom game ever.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me.
Yep.
Is there Street Fighter, Resident Evil, Lost Planet?
Yeah.
I can't think of another.
Like Marvel
Mega-
versus whatever. Marvel versus Capcom.
Mega Man.
Which-
Yeah,
Mega
yeah.
Mega Man.
Mega Man.
Mega Man.
The Ultra Mega Man.
Mega Man 2.
I always thought that was so funny that was a joke in South Park.
Yeah.
Cartman wanting the Ultra Mega Man. Because it's like, but Mega Man's like an actual thing.
Oh, were you
Yeah.
doing Cartman?
yeah.
Right, I thought you were
Mega
just,
Man.
At the Ultra Mega Man.
I thought it was just like general Californian.
Oh, right.
I thought we were just going like, imagine if a
no.
Californian
He's
person
from
said
Colorado,
From
my brother.
Colorado, yeah.
Mega Man.
Mega Man.
Mega Man, dude. Oh, Zarman's back.
The Czar guy's back.
Are
Are you going to Adelaide soon?
Dead
Any
Rising.
chance?
Dead Rising is Capcom. They were never
Yeah.
big though.
But Yeah, that's crazy. And I guess
to beat Street Fighter is the main one, and then also fucking Resident Evil is huge.
Yes.
But it's kind of like almost by accident of like going, because they haven't brought many of them to the West, have they?
All except one have come over here, I believe. Maybe,
really?
Maybe two. Yeah.
Yeah, but
people just didn't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did they do with this one to get people?
It's almost like they just set themselves to be like, let's market this to everyone. Let's make sure it crosses over. And it has. Like, it's totally succeeded.
It does seem to be massively just marketing.
Yeah.
Because
I guess not being on a Nintendo handheld is another big thing. It's
Sure.
probably the main thing about it.
Since like, I think almost all of them have been on the PSP or the 3DS.
Yeah.
Or like the Wii U.
Right.
And
there's one on the Switch, right? In Japan.
In Japan there is, yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that people who've played all of them say this one is still one of them. And they've always been like this. But they've just managed to figure out how to tell people that they'll like it.
And apparently, I've listened to a lot of like other reviews of the game, and people who have played all of them are like, this is the best possibly. It's really, really good for the series. They've also kept everything that's great about the series and removed those small, tedious annoyances that they just maintain throughout because of tradition.
I would say they haven't removed all of them.
Well, yeah, potentially. No,
like the online stuff does feel like there's a hangover from this being a PS2 trying to connect to the internet,
right?
Or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's
but like
some
stuff that I totally take for granted and seems like just absolutely should have been in there the whole time, like having the footprints and building them up so that you can automatically track the monster. Like that wasn't in there before. You had to like shoot it with a tracking thing, and then that would wear off after a while. Like, apparently, they've really smoothed out all the kinks and just made it more fun, but still challenging. Which, I think they've done a great job with it.
I wonder if this will now mean that they port that Switch one. No, not port. Localize it. That seems crazy to have that out and not bring it to the West.
I reckon it would make it less likely because that would be a step back.
Yeah, true. Well, it's so bizarre though because it's not. I could see them super text heavy to begin with.
No,
like
the one that's on the Switch though is Double Cross in Japan, which is it was It's like a best of. Okay. Basically, so it's kind of a weird one anyway, and I think it wasn't that well received anyway.
Yeah, okay. Right.
I could see them making another, like a side one alongside the next one for the Switch, because the Switch is doing so well, everyone kind of wants a slice of it.
It's probably more likely that in a year they'll put Monster Hunter World on the Switch.
Could do. Like, who knows if it can.
Yeah,
that's the weirdest thing with the Switch.
That would be a big ask for it to run on the Switch.
I guess all of that online stuff might mean you can't. It's so complicated.
Just even graphically though. Like
it doesn't run amazing on the PS4. Like squeezing that into a Switch would be
that's true.
I think they just would make a little side one for the Switch.
Or they've got that
that
like Pokemon style RPG game they brought out, Monster Hunter Stories, I think it was called.
Oh right,
on the 3DS. So maybe they do another one. Oh
yeah, right.
Like here's other one.
Yeah, it's not as
babies with Switches.
Yeah, exactly.
When you hear just cardboard monsters, you've got to tear to pieces.
By the way, did this happen this week? They announced that Blanca is coming to Street Fighter V.
I think he'd been known about for a bit. I don't know if it's because they'd announced it or someone had fucking data mined it again. Everything seems to come out through data mining.
Yeah.
But
they know all the rest of the Dragon Ball characters now too.
Yeah, right.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
It's like black hair Goku, and then some others.
Yeah.
But he's got like a costume. Blanca has like a costume that's it's like him dressed up like a big kind of goofy like funfair version of himself.
Oh really? I hadn't seen that.
Let me I'll find a pic. Use of the word cunt in a movie. For the love of God, one of you say something.
Well, if you stop...
I haven't left you much to...
Deliberately taking the time.
I haven't left you much to work with.
I don't want to move on either, because it's like, well, Tommy has to... Like, we don't want to start a new topic.
Yeah, true.
Let's just do a fashion report.
This wasn't worth it, was it?
Blanca fashion report.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be wearing... I didn't really understand it. To be honest, I don't much care.
Here you go. Now here comes some good content. You looking at a photo on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Okay. He looks weird.
Oh,
I think that's very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
looks sort of like one of them little cactuses from Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I like.
Everyone would have Googled it quicker than you did.
Very true. Very true.
So they already know what we're talking about at least.
But that's kind of what I like about what I've played of Monster Hunter is like I think Capcom have like a really cool sense of humor that's like not they never just go fully for jokes, but just that is like, and there's a whole backstory behind it where it's like his in story mode if you play as Blanca now, someone comes to his house and goes, hey man, I'm going to make you famous, we're going to make dolls of you, we're going to sell them everywhere,
right?
So it's like this whole thing of like him trying to be this
fucking trick.
celebrity.
Someone comes around your house, says I'm going to make you famous, let me get your measurements for a doll. Don't listen to him.
No.
And like even in Monster Hunter, I don't even know if I think this is funny, I don't know if it's meant to be, but the way that when you're in a battle, the way that you run, like your character runs in this really weird, like their back is really straight, and they have this really goofy, like whoop, 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 like Flintstones, Snagglepuss style.
Exit stage left.
Which really makes me laugh, and it's like that kind of. I love that, like that really subtle but quirky, like Japanesey kind of flavor. Capcom really seemed to enjoy.
Yeah.
That's why they made
stuff.
Resident Evil 7 first person, is because you have the same run animation in that, and they thought it wasn't very scary.
And also you can't you have Mega Man as a little pixel version of Mega Man as your helper in Monster Hunter? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
There was a trailer for it a while ago.
Yeah, right. You could do. That's something that fucking annoys me about that game.
What?
I never got to the point where I never did the quest for the Horizon cat.
Oh yeah,
and it's gone now. It was a time limited quest, which I fucking hate that shit.
Will it come back around?
Ah, man, I will hit one of my god. I'm going to tell you. But apparently they've never gotten rid of the like ones they've added on in the past, but now they're doing like a Hitman thing of it's only here this week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
there's a remaster of Spyro.
There's a rumor of it.
A rumor of a remaster of Spyro.
But it would make sense because Crash seemed to do really well, and Spyro was, the other guy.
Yep.
Oh,
the vanilli to his millie.
Yes.
That was really fucking hard to figure out how to say that. I've never said them individually before.
That's the other thing is for the last like 2 or 3 weeks there's been this ongoing rumor that Crash trilogy is coming to the Switch.
Oh, right.
I
guess it could. Does Sony not own part of Crash? No, because he was on the Game Boy Advance at some point.
Yeah. I don't think so anymore.
The game.
But yeah, like, you know what you were saying, that's how people find out about things is data mining. I think a close second to that is international retailers accidentally pushing something up for sale before it's been announced.
There's always some fucking idiot video game shop somewhere in Portugal where they're like, I don't know. Who cares, man? We're in Portugal. Who gives a fuck?
Do it in a Portuguese accent.
I don't know how.
Yeah, me neither. I think it's just Spanish-ish.
Yeah, like EB Brazil will just be like, boom, it's up there. Like, oh yeah, I'll just put this live.
Yeah.
But so that happened and went down. And the other thing is, like, it does happen a bit where it's like baseless, where it's like someone just put in the wrong console and someone on Reddit screenshotted it.
Yeah.
But then there was some interview with some developer who worked on it or who's worked on the port or something and said, oh yeah, that's happening. Yeah. Like he kind of let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, right.
Someone who's, I can't remember what it is, but he's someone with some kind of official...
I think that's maybe a similar thing to Spyro, and I can't remember how the Spyro one, like where the rumor came from, but it does make sense when you hear about it, but it could be that that's how the rumor's gotten steam because you go like, yeah, of course.
Right,
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, because Spyro changed into all the Skylanders things.
Yeah.
So I don't know
that's
how
right.
that shit works now.
Yeah.
And whether he would look like fucking fucked up Spyro that they've got now with the dumb toys.
Wouldn't they just take it right back to the
I hope so,
original
but who knows?
look of it? But yeah, that Crash trilogy being on Switch would be cool.
Yeah.
The Spyro games were better than the Crash games.
Yeah, right.
That's exciting. I really like those.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And the other thing that was given away by like people being a little loudmouthed is people were posting resumes about
this is great.
about like what they've been working on.
Right.
And it was Bandai Namco employees all posting like, working on Metroid Prime 4.
Yes.
Guess this is my office for the day.
Well, wasn't it one
Goodbye,
my office for the
girlfriend.
day? Wasn't it just one person on their LinkedIn profile? It was
I
like,
think then they found
I work at Bandai and I've been working on Metroid, and everyone goes, what?
Right.
Yeah, I think there were several they found after that possibly.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
pretty close to like this is who's doing it.
A great week for leaks coming from bizarre sources.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
Man.
remember like a year ago there was a composer who I think in an AMA or something he was like, I've worked on Metroid games before, or I've worked with that studio before. I can't say what I'm working on now, but it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Like, it's that same kind of thing.
I think that happened with Fallout 4 as well. There are a
Right.
bunch of things with Fallout 4 where people were like, I'm working on, let's call it a Fallout. I don't know.
Yes.
It's so funny how it's like this universal thing where people who work on games seem to not understand how interviews and the internet work.
That was a big thing with like that voice actors strike. They wanted to know what project they were working on. That was one of their demands.
Yeah.
That's right.
And the
Fair
reason they
enough.
didn't want them to know that is because a lot of the time they'd immediately update their IMDb.
Right.
And
Yeah,
people would be
right.
like, okay, well now everyone knows that fucking there's a new Call of Duty game. That's a massive issue.
But just get them to, like anyone else who's working on that thing, sign a non-disclosure
Yeah.
agreement.
Yeah,
Like, it's
exactly.
pretty easy to fix.
But so yeah, Bandai Namco apparently making Metroid Prime 4, which makes sense because Nintendo haven't wanted to do it for about 30 years.
Well, Retro did the last 3.
Yeah.
They did the 3 before the last one.
Oh, well, no, but
well,
Metroid Prime, they did the last.
They did the
They did the 3 Metroid Prime games.
Yeah,
Right.
and there was one on
Yeah.
the DS, and I don't know who did that. And
Yeah.
then there was that other M one,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, that's
Team
right.
Ninja remake Dead or Alive make, and
Yeah.
that one was shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was the 3DS one, which I haven't played. But
Yes,
it was
Samus
like-
Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who made that. But yeah, so Bandai Namco, that's exciting. That's good news, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know of a game they've made that is like this before.
Sure. But
So-
Right.
I mean, that's kind of true of Retro when they did.
Yes,
Metroid
definitely.
Prime,
Retro,
the first one.
everyone thought that first Metroid Prime was going to be terrible.
And even just the stylistic change from
Yeah.
the previous games was a pretty wild move at the time.
Yeah.
Totally. And yeah, if I don't really, the fact that it's being made is very unexpected for me. So
Yeah, right. Yeah.
the fact that someone is making it is cool.
Yeah.
And I hope they do all right.
And the other thing that was in this person's CV was them working on. Maybe I'm getting my wires crossed whether this was this person or whether it was the guy who outed the crash thing, but saying they were working on a Ridge Racer 8 that
Oh,
is
yeah.
a Switch exclusive.
Yeah, I saw something about a Ridge Racer because there hasn't been one of them in fucking ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that. There was another rumor of like, oh, this thing's being made, and I can't remember what it was now. So
Some
I probably shouldn't have
rumour.
brought it up. I mean, I don't want to out anybody.
What was that story? Even if you knew what it was, it's only a rumor. It's not even confirmed.
No.
And you
I
can't
heard a
even
rumor
remember-
that I remembered something once, but it's
Ah.
gone.
I nearly had a thought the other day.
Oh yeah,
He's trying. Oh,
Okay,
he's got it.
I remember
He's got
what it
it.
was now.
Confirmation of this thing that's not confirmed.
the next Call of Duty will be a Black Ops 4.
Oh, okay.
Oh, who
Yeah,
cares?
that's
can
why
see.
it straight away went out of my head.
Yeah, fair enough. So other big news of the week about this game, Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
So do you want to review it first and then we can go into the weird stuff?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know
Yeah.
which way around makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, so I've only played like maybe like 3-ish hours of it, not that
Right.
much.
Yep.
So it's a medieval kind of Skyrim-ish,
Yes.
but more focusing on trying to be realistic and sim-ish.
Yeah.
So you get hungry. You can't move that quick. Combat's slow.
It's- yeah.
And then you start playing the game.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the red corner weighing 2 million joke pounds.
Hey, the fans keep demanding that we make this joke more often on the socials.
have
know.
access to the exact same social media platforms you do, and I've not seen one person.
No, they're also Tommy's private inbox.
Yeah,
you wouldn't,
exactly.
you wouldn't.
Yeah,
and
they-
mine, actually, I have to say, I do get it as well.
Yeah, they go to a different school.
Yeah.
So you're
This is a game that I had no idea existed
Yeah.
until about 3 days ago, and nor do most people, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
I think it was a Kickstarter thing.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
It showed,
Warhorse, I think, is the the developer.
Yeah.
They're like something to do with Deep Silver, who made the Dead Island games.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I don't really know how that
They're a
lineage works.
Czechoslovakian company, I think, or mostly.
Could be. I
And
haven't
yeah,
really looked that up.
it's a.
But hey, it's possible.
I've
Crazy
done-
world out there.
I did a lot of research at about 1 a.m. last night because we
Yeah.
got talking about it. But yeah, so it's a hyper-realistic medieval RPG sim.
Yeah,
that-
you play as a
yeah,
character called Hal. He is a sort of
computer
upper
from
level
2001
Yeah.
Space Odyssey.
He's the dad of a bunch of really strange kids, but his wife Lois and him, they're good parents ultimately.
Imagine if Hal became Breaking Bad. Oh
Sorta
my god, it's the same universe.
Upper level
That's-
peasant.
That's an idiot, isn't it? The person
Yes.
who... Those people in the office who, like, just think that the main character is the name of the show. Anyway, go on.
Good.
Well, it's Seinfeld. Anyway, you're like this kind of upper level. You're like a sword maker, or you're the son of a sword maker.
Right. Real son of a sword maker.
You're sort of sent around. So you've got this intro section in this little kind of hamlet, I guess it is.
Yes.
There's a castle up on the top of the hill, and you're in the sort of fenced off area down below. And you got to go around to the different parts of the town. I'm like, hey, get some ale off of this person. Go get this hilt off of that person.
Okay.
This guy owes me money.
Yep.
Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Then
And
you
what
meet
about
your-
in the game?
You meet your friends at the tavern. I'm going to barrel through every one of those that we do. You meet your friends at the tavern. You throw shit at a wall. It's like
You throw shit at a wall?
because you hate this guy because he's talking shit about the Pope.
Wow.
And you're like, let's go
Rude
throw
man.
shit at his wall.
Okay.
That's sort of medieval hijinks you're
Right.
getting around doing.
Right.
And what is it? Third person?
It's first person.
Yeah,
First person, okay.
It looks more like Oblivion than Skyrim. Not that there's a massive, but it's just because it's green, I guess.
Right.
But it's that sort of thing of move around, interact with stuff.
Okay.
It looks not great.
Right.
It looks kind of shitty, and it doesn't feel good to move around. The loading times are very slow.
Right.
This is on PC, yeah?
Yeah.
It's also on PS4.
It's on
but-
everything.
Oh,
yeah.
everything, right, yeah.
Except for the Switch. And then you're kind of taking a long time to load in and out of conversations. It's not very well written.
Apparently
It's-
not a lot of action either.
No, and not a lot of interesting dialogue either. Like,
Right.
There's plenty of games that don't have a lot of action
My
that get
tongue
through
is
it on their
bleeding
story.
right now.
So many recently of dialogue-heavy games.
What's I don't understand why you're biting it.
Oh, there was just in that last like 30 seconds, there were so many points where I could have come in with a good thing that I've been
right.
banned from saying in this
Yes.
conversation.
Good.
Yes.
There's no interesting dialogue was very hard to sit on.
If I'm sitting on my own, it's not dialogue. You have to have two people with dialogue. So I never engage in dialogue. So joke's on you because I'm always alone.
Well, joke's back on you because you're talking to two of us right now. This is not a monologue
I'd
that
be
we're
saying the
bearing
exact same
witness
things, the exact same volume and pace if I were alone in anywhere where I live under a bridge. So
to. Under a bridge.
Huh? So that you go through and you do this kind of dull stuff, and it's a little clunky and just like feels very like not super polished and whatever.
Right.
And then it's not that interesting to drive you through from what I've seen so far. It seems like it's taking its time a lot, very deliberately, because it's, hey, medieval life is flat and dull for a lot of it.
Right.
At some point you join the army and you go and fight in Hungary and there's stuff that happens. It just doesn't make much effort to get you to that point.
So,
I beat up a drunk guy because he owed me money,
okay.
but he beat me.
Do you think you'll are you in any way tempted to keep going with this based on what you've played, or
'cause,
you
like-
did it for this? You played it for the show,
Yeah.
right? Like you probably wouldn't have. Would you have gone in were it not for this?
Maybe, probably not straight away. I would have
Yeah.
waited because it's got some bugs and stuff. It takes forever to load.
Yeah.
It crashed once in like the small amount of time I played
Right.
it. It's not polished at all,
Right.
and not in a just technical way, and
Yeah.
in the way it plays. And it's more that like the slow burn thing isn't the problem as much as it's just not very interesting unless you're really caught by wow, I'm in a peasant town.
Right,
Yeah.
that's my reading just like the log line, just like the one sentence description of this game. It's like super realistic medieval RPG. That could be great to me. That could be
I
something that I
agree.
find really interesting and fun.
Yeah.
If it's like very immersive. If that's what it is doing is it's immersing you in the world.
I don't think it is. I think that's the thing it's dropping the ball on is
Right.
it doesn't feel like that thing it's touting itself as.
Right.
It feels closer to like something like Skyrim, but you've put on a bunch of fucking shit mods to make yourself hungry, which exist. It,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Fallout 4,
right.
Yes.
It has that thing.
It's just a game that usually would be fun but is slightly more tedious.
And to the point where to save, you have to have Saviour's schnapps. It's this expensive bottle of fucking alcohol.
Wow.
And you have to consume it to save.
That's fucking stupid.
It's really... Or you can
I
sleep in a
already
bed.
had no interest in this. If I had been on even by the smallest thread, that would have turned me off.
That really
Yeah.
bugged me.
Saviors,
Schnaps.
schnaps.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So it just it just feels dry in a like not just dry in every part of it. It's not quite there with anything it's doing to make you like it's not dull enough to be like, wow, I'm really in this. It's more contrived than that.
It sounds like a game that people who have thought about making their own sword would love. You know, like the guys that are like, man, I'll go to this blacksmith out in the, in the country and we do this stuff and it's really, I feel like I'm back in history, and people who like that kind
I
of
wouldn't be
stuff.
surprised to learn that that's a thing that both of you do.
Yeah, it sounds like I love it.
I think it is not great for either side of things.
Right.
So I think if you're that sort of person who's like, I want to count the number of chains in this chainmail to make sure that it's correct, it won't hit you because it's still a video game using video gaming systems to sort of come close to approximating these things.
Right.
So it's like there's a hunger meter and there's whatever, like...
That's what it sounds like to me. It's like if you're going to trump it up and be like, oh, we're at we're trying to make it exciting and add in all this extra bullshit. It's like, well then... Once you're doing that anyway, just go the whole way and make it, actually fun and
exactly
exciting.
Make The Witcher instead.
Yeah,
exactly. Which does a better job of being a medieval, evoking that sense of feeling like, wow, it's windy here in medieval times. It was the wind in The Witcher that always fucking got me.
Yeah, right.
It blew the trees over a little, and you're like, fuck, it seems cold there.
Yes, yeah.
But there's just something about it where it's just a little. You can see the edges too much to get sucked into it.
Sometimes literally, right? Like the polygons, like I've heard a bit of the clipping is happening and like you can see through people's necks and shit.
The animations are all a bit crap. And
right.
It's just not quite there, but it's on a budget, so you can forgive some of that, but then the stuff you're doing on top of it is not that creative.
Right.
So it's in this weird middle ground where it's not a fun game, but it's not a boring game in the right way.
Yes.
It's just in this strange middle game where I think it's maybe just a shit game.
Right. It's not like one of those flight sims where you can literally control everything, every single dial, and it's like flying a plane.
And if it were that, but it weren't for me, then at least I would be able to go, I recognize that this is a product for someone.
Right.
But I think that this is too in the middle of that spectrum there to be for the people who were on whatever part of the spectrum that they're on to want that type of game.
They're certainly on it.
So it's not grabbing me. I might give it another bit of a chance and try and get to a point where I'm doing some of the more military stuff. But
Well, thank God that being a little bit boring is like the worst criticism that you could make of it, right?
Well, I haven't really gotten into any of that stuff because I guess we should give context for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Who wants to begin?
So there's an article that got shared in our Facebook group and has been shared around a bit from a very strange publication.
It's a short story called Cat Person. Guys, got to check it out.
But it's this website called metro.co.uk, which I personally hadn't heard of. I don't know if it's big or...
I think in the UK it is. I do actually think that, but that
Sherlock
sounded
Holmes himself. Wow, take the night off.
I believe these bite marks may be from those Baskerville hounds.
Quick, guys, I reckon Knox might find out who the Zodiac Killer is if we just put a few more minutes in.
Robert Redford, my brother.
It's Paul Newman, but anyway.
Yes.
It was there, and then there were a couple of sort of forums after we started digging around where there was some more stuff about.
But so the original thing in this Metro piece, this isn't a article written by a journalist. This is a collection of letters that have been sent into this publication. So So some guy called Andrew something, Middletown, Middle Boy.
Which there is a video game journalist by that name who says on Twitter that he didn't write
Yes.
That's what I got confused.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
So basically it's like a blind item, like in a gossip rag almost. But it's like having a go at this. One of the co-founders of the developer Warhorse, Daniel Vavra or something?
I can't remember his name. But he's the creative director on it as well, on this game.
Right. And it's basically having a go at him for being according to them, racist. It's calling him out. It's saying people should not support the game. That
urging people to boycott it.
Yes,
because of all this stuff.
And all this stuff basically consists of some people criticizing the game or what the game looked like before it had launched for having no people of color in it at all. And then
it's specifically people of color too. Like it's not people of varied ethnicities, because there are people in it who are like Turkish and whatever. Like there's people in it who aren't just Anglo-European. Yeah, whatever the
I believe it's Anglo-European
in that area. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's Hungary and it's not
Slavic.
No, but the what it was called at the time.
The Austro-Hungarian Empire?
No.
Prussia.
It starts with a B.
Prussia.
It's like Boletaria or something, but it's not that.
Bavaria? No.
No, it's not Bavaria.
Fuck yeah.
Tommy, throw me your phone. I'm going to do some awkwardly long Googling.
But yeah, so the criticism is that, yes, there are ethnicities, and the response from the developer is like, there's a bunch of different ethnicities in this game. They all just happen to look like white people.
And let's just say, this is a fucking bombshell accusation to land in the mailbag of a fucking... It's a bizarre choice by them to run this. It's like,
really strange.
What are the other letters in this mailbag? Like, sometimes my cat fucking looks at me weird. This happened to anyone else? Missed connections. I saw you on a train.
His defense partly was as well like, hey, we've looked into the history, we've got these people... It would be unrealistic if we had anyone that you're talking about walking around.
And then, the people who had raised the criticism were like, it's kind of vague though, so you've made the decision to assume that there were no people of colour, where there is speculation that they were. So,
and there's evidence that there was like lots of different melting pot sort of things in this area. And it's weird because what I looked into it, which I hadn't really looked into this stuff before, and it was interesting.
Yeah.
Is that the concepts of race were different back then, and it was more about ethnicity, which mattered less, is my impression of it at this specific time. But obviously, at some point in the next few hundred years, people that shifted. But
these accusations where people are writing in and saying he's racist, is this is based on other stuff as well, like other interviews and stuff that he's given?
Yeah, kind of. It's hard for me to tell because there's also a bunch of stuff written about this in European publications. There's a lot of German video game writers who have written about this guy, where I only got a translation through Google, and it's really hard to figure out what it really is going on.
Yeah.
But apparently there are a lot of critics of him. A lot of people who are like...
There was something about a shirt he wore at some point that had some iconography on it that is weird, that he has since apologized for all of this.
Yeah.
It's worth saying, and addressed all of it. And
he also apparently supported Gamergate in the most... non-militant way.
Right.
He supported the freedom of speech, but he also didn't have to say anything. Like, if you want to go out there on public record and say, I support Gamergate's right to freedom of speech, you're taking some kind of stand there that you don't have to. Like, you're aligning yourself with a group that is...
Not that you should feel afraid to speak up about what you think or whatever, but a lot of the stuff is like these kind of words that, like... It's difficult to figure out when people talk in that way what is kind of like these catch cry coded language things of like, it's about freedom of speech, when because so many people do use that sort of shit as a mask for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, being able to be bigoted in public.
And you have to be aware that, like, even if there's...
Bohemia.
Yes.
Even if there's stuff going on around Gamergate
took forever,
that you do agree with in that case, you have to be aware of how it looks for you to say,
totally,
oh, I am pro this part of it. And of course, knowing the culture that we're in, that's the more interesting soundbite is that this guy's, backing Gamergate.
Yes.
So you've got to be aware of how that's going to make you look. And is that something that you do if you're aware of those consequences and you do really care about being misrepresented as being pro Gamergate? You probably don't.
We talked about this a lot last night, Knox, as well, how it's like, yes, you've decided to make a decision about representing or not representing people of colour in this game based on what you think is the historical, validity. And then throughout this whole development process, your whole team, everyone working on this game, every single time you've looked at your character creation, your NPCs, you've gone, there's no black people, there's no brown people, there's only white people. we're all still okay with this? All right. It seems like this ongoing decision to go, no matter what people think about how this looks, we're sticking with white people.
Yeah. But if there's enough of a historical context for it to at least be, up for debate, and they're trying to make it realistic, like, is that just a creative decision of like, okay, well, there's no way of knowing for sure. There's enough evidence that points to this.
Sure, but I think that's what the point is. It's like, if it's 50-50 on whether there were people of color or there weren't, and you're going, I want to make the decision that there weren't any people of color. I think that says something perhaps about...
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's 50-50.
Sure.
But like...
Well, we're not historians. We literally don't know.
Yeah.
So like, if there were a lot of white people in Europe, and there still are.
Yeah.
So I kind of like... Here's a weird thing that I've been thinking about. There are a lot of white people in The Witcher.
Yes.
That's a fantasy world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that did cop flack for that.
It did, yeah.
And that was purely a creative decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the argument was to evoke this, whatever, but like, there are fucking goblins there.
Yeah.
It's like, so having a black person is less...
realistic, yeah.
It takes you out of that world more than having a fucking dead skeleton woman.
Yeah, Fishman, yeah.
Fishman, fuck that Fishman, bro. Shape of Water, boo. But like, it's a weird, just because every game is obviously made in a modern context.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't take that out of a piece of thing that you make. Like people who say take politics out of games and whatever, impossible. And also, like anything that approaches being a racial issue, that's not political.
No,
that's just social.
That's social. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, but it's fucking weird because I do not know enough about the history or about the historians they have working on this game, which apparently they do, to say that like they, that this is incorrect.
And something else that I brought up last night was like, we all play Persona and we didn't call it out for only having Japanese people in it.
No, or like Dynasty Warriors.
Right.
That's about the Three Kingdoms in China thing. And nobody goes like, nah, maybe there was a white guy there standing in the background somewhere saying, go get him, boys.
I think the thing is that it's white people have always been in the position of power, in the position of privilege. Like when they chucked Matt Damon in the Great Wall, the issue was, why is there a white guy saving the day? Like it's not about one homogenous race or ethnicity. It's about white people continuing that structure of privilege, I guess.
Yeah, but that same structure of privilege wasn't the same in 1403.
Yeah. Yes.
So I can understand the argument of going, yo, fuck up. This is 700 years. How long ago is that? 600 years ago.
It's
not for me, man. I'm living in the future.
So it's
and we've already figured out all these problems.
Well, you're immortal, so
yes. It's not just that, because you're right. Like The Witcher was, came under criticism as well.
Yeah.
It's not just that people are noticing this in this game.
It's that they're noticing it in the context of the people who are making it,
and the response from the people who are making it. All the tweets from this guy were like, "I'm a cunt and I'm going to be rude to you." He
shouldn't have said that. That's
I know. He really tipped his hand there.
That's the thing. People have taken issue, it seems like, with this person specifically as a figurehead for it, and then the context of all this looks worse in that way. But
that's the tricky thing, is that it's all murky, and it's like
yes.
it's the history is murky, and exactly what this guy's intentions are is murky. And so this where this stems from, this article or this letter that got written in just calling for a boycott, it's like, I don't know if, I have a big problem with the idea of like, you hear that a bad thing, one person has done a bad thing, so you
put him on a...
You shouldn't...
You call them out.
No one is allowed to engage with this now. You're wrong. I just think that's a very... unnuanced way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
Especially in a case like this where it's like, you can't even... if you personally go, I think he did this for the wrong reasons and I think he's copping out now, that's how I'm reading the situation. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to play the game.
And
sure.
if you say...
You can't fault someone for going, well, I love the game. I want to give it the benefit of the doubt because in both cases of the history and the way he's talking about it, it's kind of a bit 50-50. Like, you can read it either way.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to land on the other side.
I think it's also fair to say, just really quick, like, if you say, maybe even if this is historically accurate, what you're presenting here is a form of entertainment, and I don't accept this form of entertainment's implicit standpoint through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're not. I see a lot of people going like, "Fuck you, you can't change history."
Yeah.
Right. But it's not history what he's made here. It's a form of it's it's a creative
it's not a textbook.
endeavor.
It's
So I think there's but every person can land where they want. That's the great thing about freedom.
I'm really curious. I wish I could. Well, I did learn German in high school, but I wish I could read these articles more.
How many years did you spend doing German?
Well, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sex is the word for six.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the sensitivity to quote unquote white supremacy and those attitudes and ideologies is much higher in countries like Germany for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
People really want to get rid of that. They want that out of their national image. They want to move on from that. They don't want these white Slavic or, Anglo guys like bringing this movement back.
It's fucking high in England, America,
Absolutely.
Australia, it's a fucking real bubbling thing at the moment, and it's very odd.
Yeah.
Because when we were kids, A, we were more naive, but B, it really seemed like, well, dust it off those fuckers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Into the sunset we go.
Yeah.
Ow, I'm burning alive.
Yeah, the ozone layer fucked off. But I'm just curious if we have any listeners from that area.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Have you looked into this? Like, what do you think about this? Does it sound like these guys are using coded language to get away with being racist, or do you think that they are genuinely just trying to be historically accurate?
Because the other thing is like, even if you can land in a place where you go, I give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that that the history does point to there not being people of colour and that they were doing this for the right historical reasons and that they're not outwardly trying to be cunts about it. That said, I'm still not going to engage with it because I think it's shitty that there aren't people of colour in it.
Right.
Because this is the thing that, for me, I always kind of land on with the idea of like separating the art from the artist, which is what people were talking about in our Facebook group where they posted this article letter and discussion of it, is that, someone creates a piece of art and they work on it, for a long time and they put a lot of themselves into it. But then once they put it out there, it kind of doesn't belong to them anymore, and it belongs to the people who are viewing it and consuming it, and you, the viewer, you turn a piece of artwork into what you want it to be by your own experiences
the death
and how
of the
you
artist.
engage with it.
The artist is no longer part of this work.
So, I don't know, like if something resonates with you or doesn't for reasons that are separate from the person who worked on it and what they were trying to put in it, I think it's fine to look at it either way. Like you can go, I buy what these guys are saying. I don't think they've done anything wrong.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel like shit that there's no people of colour in it, so I don't want to play it. Like that's a fair standpoint to take.
I think so. And the opposite is also, I think, fair. Like
totally.
If you go, I think it's crummy that this has been made this way, but I kind of see what they were going for and I'm interested to look at it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
it doesn't make you a bad person. And the idea that like, when people go, no, but you bought it, so you're funding this person. It's like none of us know how these funds get distributed. Like,
Well, and fuck, man, I bought an apple the other day. I sure hope that farmer wasn't racist.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, this for me is the bigger
farmers
point.
actually make apples now. They grow them in vats now.
Yeah,
One
really
world
racist vats too.
But yeah, and that's the other big problem that I have with people who want to militantly condemn something that's made by someone that they disagree with is like, fuck, man, well, do an inventory on everything in your life that you own or have consumed in. It's like, that's unfortunately the world that we live in is that, if you look hard enough at anything, there's dodgy shit going on behind the scenes.
Man, look at your shoes. You don't have to look that hard.
Yeah.
But my shoes are two small children I stole from their families' homes.
From Kmart.
And I shoved my legs right into their bellies and I walk around.
That's real gross. But also, you're right. Like 2 kids probably made those shoes. So.
Yeah, mate, hopefully. But the other thing as well is like I'm always conscious of the fact that like the way that I don't know a lot about the Czech Republic. Don't know an enormous amount about it.
I know almost nothing, I would say.
Don't know what the sort of ethnic makeup in that country is. and I'm always aware
Wait,
of like.
let me check.
Shit.
Here we go. Welcome to 70 minutes of Googling the podcast. We Google what our podcast is so we can start recording it.
You know how we like in our artwork we'll put like a little, we'll put a picture of like the main thing we've talked about on the app. This week we should just put the Google front page as the pick.
Yes, maybe. I'll write something in there as well.
Don't put in the search term that we were using before. We don't want cunts in our...
Oh yeah, put a screenshot of Jack Nicholson from that film.
Yes, that's a good idea.
That's good.
There should be a new segment every week where we debate what's the image going to be.
I like it a lot.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. I'm always aware of being like an inner city sort of, like I.
Oh, a lefty.
Well, no,
a
like
snowflake.
Just someone who literally sees people from more diverse backgrounds than a lot of other people in this country and in a lot of other countries.
Yeah,
and I'm aware of the fact that informs the way that I see the world,
Sure.
and that I wouldn't necessarily have malice, but I would have ignorance that I wouldn't. That would inform my worldview if I lived in a different thing. That's maybe even a little condescending to say that someone's being ignorant. But you know what does that make sense what I'm getting at? That
but I don't know if...
Someone doesn't have to have malice in them to have done the wrong thing. I don't think it's worth attacking all of the time.
I don't think you can be...
Does that make sense?
I don't think you can be a video games developer and not have a sense of the greater world, though.
I don't know...
I think it's pretty easy to. No, I think it's pretty easy to.
I think it really is.
I think that's
the internet doesn't help for shit. Like, you need to see people in real life. You need to interact with people more than we do. Like Australia's like it's a big subject, so I don't want to get too much into it necessarily. But like, it's different here to it is in America. It's different here to how it is in France. And every different country has very different.
Attitudes,
waves and shifts, attitudes, big, large scale ones though.
Yeah.
And it's because the more people interact, the better they get at doing it.
Yeah.
I've been in conversations with people who, and I don't mean this to sound condescending, which I hope will come across from what I'm saying, but
I've been in conversations with people who are a lot smarter than you.
In like small country towns.
This is what I'm thinking.
And the topic of should we change the date of Australia Day,
right?
Which is a big topic of conversation in our country.
Yes.
And I've been in conversations with people who just like, I don't get it. Like, who cares? Like, what's the issue? Just leave it. And it's like, well, yeah, you live in this town where literally no Indigenous people live here,
and all Australia means to you is going to the pub and having a party with your mates.
And this is, and again, not to be condescending, but your bubble is small. And when have you ever come into contact with people who think that other way and actually seen the hurt that it does cause? The Indigenous people in this country.
Yeah.
And you can't really, it's like, well, I think you're wrong, but I can't fault where that viewpoint is coming from, because it's just your worldview is informed by what's immediately around you.
Totally. Likewise to us, where this bubble that people talk about the left existing in is this bubble where everyone outside of it is full of malice and anger and hatred, which isn't always the case.
It's rarely the case.
It's extremely rarely the case, because everyone's a human being. Yeah. And guess how many hateful human beings there are? One right here, you fuckhead.
But like, seriously, there's like one in what you've read the psychopath test. Is it 1 in 100 is a sociopath? Like it's very small.
A psychopath would remember that statistic.
I don't know.
It's but it is low. It's like 1% of people are genuinely bad people. 99% are trying to do the right thing in the world that they know with the resources they have.
Good people do bad things all the time.
Yeah,
exactly. But then when you do a bad thing, if somebody tells you they reckon you've done a bad thing, it's really important to learn how to cop to that and try and learn from it and try to, have a conversation about it rather than going, fuck you.
Yeah. Yes. You don't get on Twitter
I read one book about this, so fuck off, cunt.
Yeah. You don't get on Twitter and call them an SJW, which I think is a big part of the problem here.
Yes.
With this specific story that we were talking about.
And that made it tough to research, because more so than the resources about what is going on, there was more stuff of people reacting to it in a really negative way.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of writing about the actual issue. There was a lot of comments of people going, fuck these SJW libtards.
And then other places of people going like, hey, this seems creepy. Like, it depends where you look.
Yes.
And guess what? If you looked at Reddit, a whole bunch of other people. But like, it is a weird thing where, if people get behind you like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that's who you know. Like,
Totally.
I don't know, man.
I think this one is hard because it's really vague. The one with the guy who did the anti-feminist tweets, who developed The Last Night.
Yeah.
And he was like, sorry, that was a few years ago, I've changed. That's more clear cut and much shorter of a discussion, I think.
Yeah.
Well, but the more we see that game, who knows? Because this whole thing then was like, it's going to inform the game. And then, like, I think it's just interesting to talk about. And as the world we live in has gotten more and more focused on creators, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
In the last, like, decade, we've gotten so much more interested in who has made this thing.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, 10 years ago, this never would have come out. This wouldn't have been a
Especially in
story
video
because this
games,
guy
yeah.
wouldn't have a Twitter account.
Yes.
Like, no one would know who this guy was.
Yeah.
The
And no one would give a
interviews-
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And
It wouldn't gain traction. Like
Unless
yeah.
you were a historian interested in bohemian ethnic life, like makeups,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't know to question it either.
no.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about where you land on how much you believe about somebody and how much that affects your opinion of what they create.
Yeah. Anyway, rate the game out of 5.
2 swords out of 5.
Okay. Cool. Slightly under half.
Nice work, my blacksmith.
They're only whitesmiths in this game.
So we had other stuff to talk about, but this has been a bit of a long boy.
Yeah, an
we
hour and a
wa-
quarter.
Yeah. Do we want to hold that stuff over for next week?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. The one question we were going to address is kind of an expansive one, so maybe we should save that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for
Bit
listening.
of a tease there.
Oh, you'll have to tune in next week.
Thanks for listening, guys. Out this week, tomorrow specifically on the Switch is Bayonetta 2 and
yeah.
1,
Oh.
which I am very much looking forward to going into. Never played on the Wii U.
Sooner than I thought.
Yeah, meant to be really good by all accounts. Glad they've ported it over. You can buy Bayonetta 2 in the shops comes with a free download code for Bayonetta 1.
Right,
Which
yeah.
seems kind of pointless,
Yes,
but
yeah.
is cool. I don't know, anything out in this next week that you two gentlemen are interested in?
I'll probably play that, and I'll probably play Owlboy.
Yeah, so I started playing Owlboy this morning, and I really, really enjoy it so far.
Cool.
And yeah, I want to put a bit more time into it. I will say, I finished Celeste
Nice.
a couple of weeks ago now, which was great. The ending of it was fantastic. I really, really loved that game. The last bit in particular is so brutal, like so
Right.
hard. I sat up late playing it and I just told myself I'm not going to bed until I finish it. And because everyone in my house was asleep, it was a lot of, I think the most I've ever done in my life, me saying the word cunt through very gritted teeth. Cunt.
That's how Jack Nicholson did it.
Yeah, that's my Jack Nicholson impression that I
yeah,
just did then. But yeah, like for Celeste being like a real kind of dexterity and finesse game, Owlboy, the fact that it's kind of out on Switch right after Celeste is kind of, it's a good little antidote to that because it's
Right.
more about, it's a more leisurely exploring, little puzzle solving, still in
Right.
that kind of retro themed platformer world, but just kind of a different side of that, which is a nice little follow on from having finished Celeste.
I want to quickly talk about some stuff. Pyre, I got recommended by a listener.
You asked us before this.
yeah.
Recommend me about Pyre.
Recommend me? Remind me.
Remind me.
Yeah, Ben, we got to remind Adam. We got to remind Ben to talk about Pyre.
Okay.
Remember that we got to remind him to talk about that.
Hey, man, I won't forget.
Now, where was I? So it's made by the guys who made, and girls perhaps, who made Bastion and I think it was called Transmission.
No, Transistor.
Transistor, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Two kind of like isometric action adventure games.
It was like
basically.
Bastion was an action game, and then Transistor was more of like a tactics kind of game, I think.
Kind of. I did play it. It was sort
never
of
did.
turn-based, sort of somewhere in between though. It wasn't quite.
I feel like you've talked about that on this show, maybe?
It was on the PS3,
Maybe?
so I don't know. But anyway, the company that made those, both of those were pretty good. Different aesthetics completely. One cyberpunk, one sort of fantasy.
Yeah.
And this game is, again, kind of different. It's closer to something like Diablo. Like it's this weird sort of fantasy style. And it's called sort of like those like 2D cutscenes, text-based, okay voice acting. But the game itself is like this weird made-up sport game. So it's like you have 3 characters. You're trying to get an orb into a zone.
Now, if you were playing a sport, what would you call an orb? Like a spherical object in a sport?
I can't think of any other word than
Some
orb.
kind of man, my testicles hurt.
Oh yeah,
A ball.
yeah. I'm having a great time.
I really got to
3D
go to that doctor.
3D circle.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. So you're throwing this sphere around, but you can't. You can move while you have it, but if you have it, you're vulnerable to getting attacked.
Right.
Like it's a one-hit kill. You're only controlling the character who has the ball. So you can move, then you throw it, then you move that character, then you move, and so it's kind of very stilted. It's like playing netball, kind of.
Like opposite netball.
Yes,
where
kind of.
You
Yes.
can move if you have netball.
Exactly,
Yeah,
opposite
right.
netball. It's just very stilted. It's not
Lab 10.
fun. Lab Bible.
Fucking piss funny Facebook
I know,
page,
I
guys.
know.
Get on it. Get on it.
I love Lad Jesus. Yeah, it's just not a good game. It's really tedious. It's not fluid or fun to play. I really like sports games. I've been playing Madden again, and that's fucking great. But Pyre, all it has going for it is the aesthetic, and it's really disappointing that the game's no good because I
That's a
was
shame.
really, really up for it.
What's wrong with it?
It's just not fun. Like, it's hard to describe. It's that reverse netball thing doesn't work.
Right. So what are the other two play? Are they just getting into position
They don't move.
on their own? Oh, right,
No,
of course.
they literally don't
It's
move.
not AI where they move around. They
They literally don't. And
so how are you getting attacked? What's the attacking thing? All the other 3 players can move?
Yeah. No, they move one by one as well.
Right.
They just move into you. It's not like fighting. It's like you have
Like
you
a tackle, just like a...
Yeah,
right.
but more like a magical tackle. Like they just move into you and
Right.
you explode.
Like what do you call it? That little football table thing.
Foosball.
Foosball?
No, but not foosball. There's another one. Anyway,
football table.
where the players shake on the table and you can move them around. It doesn't matter.
I
Warhammer.
haven't-
That's it.
Fucking hell. Chess. You're thinking of chess. It's also
Google
like
it.
each character. One character is like has medium like speed movement and can throw the ball a medium like distance and there's no attack. One's incredibly slow, but when they jump, they can do more like area of effect damage.
Right.
One's really fast but super weak, but it just doesn't work together in a way that's fun to play.
Yeah,
It's-
right.
Yeah.
Sports games can be really fun, especially if they're like a bit more arcadey and a bit different, but that does sound like a drag.
Yes.
Especially like fantasy sports games, like made
Yeah.
up sports.
Yeah.
There was a game on the Xbox called Death Row.
Right.
That was fucking rad.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like Death Frisbee, and you were all prisoners.
Right.
And that was their explanation of why no one cared if you died.
Fuck.
And so
But like games like Mario Strikers
Sure,
and,
yeah.
and Mario Tennis even, it's just like an arcadey version of sport. This was like making up a sport that was not fun to play.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
that's a shame.
Yeah. So yeah, I played that. I've started playing Dragon's Dogma, which people recommended to me as just like a full-on RPG.
Do you reckon you'll play more of it?
Yeah, I think
Let's talk
so.
about it when you've played more, I reckon, then, because you said you've done like an hour.
Yeah.
A thumbs
Yeah.
up or thumbs down in general?
Thumbs to the side.
Or middle thumb.
Yes.
Let
Yeah.
me show you my middle thumb right there,
Oh,
Tommy.
he gave me... this son of a bitch
No, this son of a swordsmith.
just flipped me the bird.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe you did that.
I'm the winner.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think that'll do me
Cool.
for now.
All right.
Yeah, I'm interested in Dragon's Dogma,
Right.
but I want to hear about that.
Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about next week. Let's
Oh, yeah.
wrap it up for here now. filthycasuals.com.au for our premium episodes, which we mentioned before.
Yes.
We have a Patreon that you can subscribe to if you would like to support the show.
We'll have a new premium one going up relatively soon, it seems like now.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah. Oh, Bandcamp, you mean?
I do mean Bandcamp. Is that
Yes.
a premium one?
Yeah.
We got to
yeah.
get our style Bible down.
Yeah, no.
We do. Two of us do.
Yeah.
Let's do one of them spenny ads.
Okay.
Short for expensive.
Yeah,
Which is
nice.
short for expensive.
Yes, you're right.
Which is short for sex-pensive.
We'll do a Bandcamp. We've had some good ideas for those. So
Yeah. All 3 of us are in shows at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Mine is called Leisure Suit Tommy. It's on from March 28 until April 8. These 2 gentlemen are both in Chimp Cop.
Yes.
Which is on for the whole run, March 28 until April 22.
29, I believe.
Because,
was the
no
time.
Wednesdays.
Yes. Yep.
And it starts on a Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Adam Knox.
Doing a solo stand-up show called something, and
PC Power Play.
look up my name, Adam Knox, and it's on there. Or they all went up today.
Yeah, the guide
Yes.
the online guide came out today. So comedyfestival.com.au. All those shows are on there. Be lovely to see some of the filth down at those.
Yes.
Guys, thank you very much for listening. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals,
Pyre, I barely know her.
No.
Came in with a great one at the end, like a regular Pyre player.
I would have said when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie.
Doesn't matter what you would have said because I'm hitting.
Wow.
Is that where you hit?
Hit stop.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. It's not optional. You have to do it. We used to go easy on it, but now you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.